Welcome to The Mental Craftsman, where we build stronger minds and share the lessons we've learned through what we've lived.
What a great day today is. We are live straight up 7 o'clock on the 11th week. The 11th week is probably one of the most powerful weeks because we're talking about reviewing and reflecting. Reviewing and reflecting and adjusting. So when we're talking about the course that we've been on for the last 11 weeks and we're going to adjust it and we're going to make things happen. Good morning, Alicia. How you doing this morning? Farm Girl, good morning. How you doing? Brian, how you doing? We got some people in here, and I'm really happy this morning. First of all, because you're in here, and second of all, this is a topic that we're on right now. Week 11 of 12 is to reflect. And good morning, everybody. I'm Ray, and I'm not a doctor. I'm not a therapist. I'm somebody who likes to express things that have worked for me in my life that I share here. And it's based around journaling, reflection, self-care, kindness to ourselves, and being aware of what's going on in our lives. And we think sometimes that we're quite aware, but today we're going to get into some really good stuff. The 11th week, right here. The 11th week is all about self-awareness, clarity, mindful, improvement, setting time and asking yourself questions by journaling thoughts. And let's think about what reflection is. So a little analogy that I have is reflection's a mirror when you look into it. You get to see all the details about your face. You use a mirror to do improvement. People put on makeups, we do our hair. Reflection helps us look better, right? Well, journaling is a type of reflection because it's exposing in front of you what you're thinking. Kind of like when you get a reflection in a pond or you get a reflection in something. So reflection itself is an image of what we want to look at, an image of what we see. That makes reflection probably one of the biggest benefits of staying mindful and having clarity. I'll share a story as far as reflection that came on with a little bit of pressure in my life this week. And one was some confusing parts about our schedule, who's to get what and who's to do things. And what I did is I cleared out the office and I wrote clarity into our schedule of who does what, who, how, and when. And there's times in our lives where boundaries are to be made to favor those we want in it, and boundaries are to be made even upon ourselves of what needs to be done to live intentional for results. And living in an intentional world is recognizing behaviors about ourselves that don't always work. Behaviors that we have where there's some parts of our life that we've got somewhat complacent, where we end up just automatically tolerating some things because we believe this is how life is, this is how life has always been, that's the way it's always been. But then when we question that, of how do we fit into that? How do we fit into that feeling? And when we start questioning it and we reflect it, and we put kind boundaries into places so people can fit into our lives, or we put boundaries on ourselves so we can fit into life. You see, the common denominator there is us and we, or I. So when we're reflecting, it's about yourself. And the reflection that you come up with creates awareness. And through that awareness, we can then start writing a guide that has clarity. So we can give ourselves clarity through the reflection to help us in our journey. And it's that easy, where it takes time and effort, where I put right in through here. This is where we're going to set the time, ask the questions, and journal our thoughts. When you're journaling our thoughts, that leads into action in your life. We've now taken the reflection of our mind, and to the best of our ability, we imaged it on paper. We imaged it through journaling, and we read it, and we help figure out things that would help us have tranquility, to be more peaceful, to enjoy life, and to wake up with vitality with something to look forward to. And over the last 10 weeks, and I see names of people that are in here, I'd like to know, has that helped you any? Do we say things that resonate in here? Living's not perfect. I mean, life isn't perfect, but what can be is realizing when we need realignment. And then so the 11th week of the 12th week is all about adjusting, about realigning ourselves, about reflecting on what the course has been about from week 1 to week 2 to all of the lessons that we've learned in here. So this all started out with an introduction to autopilot. Journaling's helped me so much over the past. It's helped Alicia. It's helped Farm Girl. 2 people who I always see in here, and and it can be so effective in our lives, and it helps me. And there has to be times where we feel right there. It helps me have more control of my life, and it allows you to know what you're in control of. And then when we're reflecting about how things are going, we can find where boundaries might need to be, because we want people in our lives, but we sometimes need some boundaries in there, ways to show them that I can have a kind relationship with you, but here's some of my rules. And what are yours? Because people that give boundaries also accept other people's boundaries. But most importantly, recognizing behaviors. That's right. We're just in control of ourselves. We are just so in control of ourselves. That's what is we realize when we're doing that. And if we have somewhat of a desire to live, or even a little bit of desire to make things better, write about that. Ask yourself a question. Where in my life do I feel overwhelmed? We are talking about, good morning, we're talking about a series, we're on week 11, about reflection. It's a series that started approximately 10 weeks ago about living intentionally, where we allow things to unintentionally hit our lives, where we intentionally, without realizing it, we have burdens that we carry, or things that we just talk about. So this week we're going to go into the 11th week, talking about from the first week of waking up from autopilot and what autopilot is. And we're glad that you're in here. So let's talk about, let's just go right back into, since we're reflecting this particular week, to go right back into what living by design is. Living by design. There's some words up in here, and I'm going to read them. Living by design is engaging intentionally and deliberately and calculated in your own life. And it's being conscious on purpose and doing things to be intended, things that we want to happen, and enjoying, pre-planning, and being available for ourselves, and live life. Live life with reason instead of just being a bag of reactions. Some of us find that our life is just reactions. We just wake up and we react. We react to things that don't go our way, and then we focus on what's not going our way, instead of understanding what's not going our way and doing the adjustments and aligning to where that doesn't happen as frequently, being in control of our thoughts and our emotions. When we're living by default and autopilot, and being unaware, we have a lot of things that are unintended, accidental, involuntary, unthinking, unplanned, unexpected. by chance. And a lot of times there's no time for ourselves, right? And when there's no time for ourselves, how are you supposed to be you? Remember when we started this morning's talk, we talked about reflection and what reflection is. When you look into the mirror and you can look at everything about yourself in the mirror. If you're someone that puts on makeup or does their hair, and you look and you see and you perfect, that's what journaling is. When you're journaling, you're just bringing an image of what's in your mind and you're writing it down. Then you get to look at it. Then you get to look at, what did I journal? What was that about? Where did it come from? How can this help me? And you don't need willpower. You don't need motivation. What you need is consistency, where you intentionally block time to do a review of what's going on, a review of what's burdening you, what's overwhelming you, a review of where your fears are, of what you're afraid of when it comes to making changes. And having clarity in your life is super important. Yesterday, I changed the scheduling at my company from just a project to a detailed list of things with clarity. That's some of what's going on in our company today, just to show you the long list. What it used to look like, I would just put what the project is, where we are. Having clarity when you manage, having clarity when you run your life. And I found a fault that our schedule, some of it didn't have clarity. That comes on me. That's where I'm going to take accountability. Taking accountability into our life, we're going to find out that a lot of our reactions and the way that we live, it's 100% our own fault, and it's 100% on us. And that's where reflection comes in, self-awareness, and being clear and conscious about how you want to live. Identifying triggers, like we talked last week. I still have that board up. Identifying what triggers us, allowing reasoning to jump ahead of reaction. So when we look at the direction of our life, what parts of it do you believe in your life are authentic? That this really is the direction that I wanted it to be. These are the friends that I've always wanted. This is how I want things to be. And all of my boundaries are set. And when it's my quiet time, everybody knows. And I'm living authentically. I'm building my schedule, or are we letting our schedule happen to us? Does our phone ring? Is there people in there because we're people pleasers that just misdirect us, that take us off of a course that we're on? Are we protecting our own time, and are we protecting our emotions? Living intentionally, we're protecting our emotions. We have boundaries, and it's up to us who we're going to give to. Remember, takers don't have limits, and they're going to try to take from you everywhere. But as a giver, you can have limits. You can have limits on your time, your money, your value, your respect, and guarding those things, which all together build a peace of mind. And all of those things together is where your peace is, right? Your peace falls within how you value your time. Your peace falls into who you give to. Your peace falls into what boundaries that you make. Your peace in your life goes into your rules for yourself. Because when we're talking about kindness, we can't be kind to other people unless we're really kind to ourselves. Because then the kindness that you give out is truly authentic. You have a better understanding and clarity of what somebody might need from you if you are able to do it. So we can't give our energy away. We can't do for others what we're not doing for ourselves. So you think about somebody in your life. We have Easter coming up, a big, major, important celebration. And it's about rebirth. It's about coming back. And it's an excellent story. And it's true in my book. But it's necessary in an intentional life to always come back from where things didn't go so well for you, to always come back, to always be back on the top in life. And putting yourself in the direction of being authentic isn't a destination, it's a daily practice. Because sometimes we're still going to get overwhelmed. Good morning, boy. I'm glad you're in here. Sometimes we're still going to get overwhelmed. Sometimes our emotions are still going to win us over. Sometimes we are just going to blow our lid and blow our top. But you'll notice when you're being mindful and living intentional, after you blow your lid or you speak your mind, you start to reason afterward. I'm not talking about you go right to guilt. You start to reason afterward to realize what a waste of time that was. That's when we get to some emotional maturity in our life, that we no longer have time to deal with some emotions that we've always carried. We don't have the time, nor do we want to apply the effort toward a lot of things that we have tolerated in our life as we get older. These are the things that we identify through self-reflection that no longer help us stay authentic. Good morning, Kelly. These are the things that we come up with on our own. These are the things that make me have a feeling of doom. These are the things that make me feel overwhelmed. When I think about this situation, or I think about this particular part of my job or this particular part of my family, I feel overwhelmed. Well, what is that? Through reflection, we write that down and we figure that out, right? So recognizing behaviors. Because of this class, recognizing it is necessary for intentional living, to recognize it. And first, that starts with a desire to want to live differently. And we don't need to be motivated. We don't need the willpower. We just need a little bit of desire to live, to make a change to our life, to look at the direction that is more authentic to the direction that we feel others are pulling the strings. So through this class, it's here to help you take care of yourself. But it's especially here to help you take away the somebody that you don't want to be, the thinker that you don't want to be, a person with certain habits that you don't want to be. And how do you break away from the chains that hold us emotionally staked to different things into our lives? That same way of thinking up every day, to where we just get out of bed, go to work, come home, and it's like this cycle that we're in. We do that and we break away from that by setting some time to ask different questions. Remember, if you look into a still pond, you can see yourself. It's reflecting. You can see the detail. You can see the beauty. And in our own lives, when we write down through journaling and our thoughts, see, this creates action automatically because the reflection is there. This is what you read. This is where you adjust. So what can I do to fix that? We talked about this last week, and it was identifying your trigger. Self-reflection helps you understand circumstances. And through journaling, it helps you begin a path to not just understand it, but have a clarity in moving forward to how to create it. And this doesn't take willpower. This doesn't take a self-help book. This doesn't take a motivational speech. This just takes consistency, once a week, twice a week. Just a time where we set aside that I am going to write all of this down. That I'm going to write this down and I'm going to figure it out. And I'm going to dive into my life with clarity, with understanding. Instead of reacting to life, I want to live it. If we have moments of life that we can live, that we can engage in, that we are there in the moment where we are mindful, where we have pleasantry because it's what you planned. So the benefits of the self-awareness, it helps you understand your thoughts, feelings, and actions. And you know what comes out of that when you journal is personal growth. Personal growth, not being taller, not growing out wider. It's personal growth and thought, and it's maturity of how to live. Instead of reacting to something with humor or anger or hate or judgment, letting it sink in and thinking about it before you comment, before you engage into something. But at the same time, when you're mindful, is bringing in feelings. If you're in a situation or a thought or have any kind of pressure at all that creates doom, self-reflection is writing about it. Why do I feel doom about this time of the month, of this time of the year, at this moment, at this particular venue? Why does that give me doom? Why do I feel doom when a report is due? Why do I feel doom when my boss says, I need you to come into the office? Why do we feel doom when we have goals that we want to? And this is where, yeah, I love it. Farm Girl, you are funny today. Listen, and why do we feel doom during tax season, right? Because this is where we have to react. And the taxes, we would save for those things. I love that. Welcome to life, right? We're all going to pay taxes. And I'll tell you what, if I ever come up with a 10-week of how to not pay taxes, I'll probably have 10 million people in here. So let's look at the direction of authenticity instead of the direction of unintentional road bumps. It's kind of like if you're driving in real life down the road that's smooth, and you want to take a shortcut over that mountain, that road's not going to be so good, is it? There's going to be trees in the way. There's going to be hills, rocks, cliffs. You can't go that way. A road is pre-planned, mapping and direction. And we did that all around our country. Since we had trails, we had ways to go, showing you a map. You too can map your life out like that. And have a map with no bumps in your road, the ways that you take. So we're just not going to cut through the woods directionless. We're going to have a compass, and we're going to do things that are important into life. So when you're talking about living intentionally, you're going to ask yourself meaningful questions. And some of the meaningful questions that you would ask in life is, what went well today? What challenges did I face? How did I respond intentionally today? That is a really good question. How did I respond today to something intentionally, with intention and with clarity? And what could I improve tomorrow that didn't go so well today? And when you do that on a consistent level, and I already warned you that when you're living intentionally, sometimes your emotions will win. Sometimes some depression could step in. Sometimes I don't feel so well. Well, that's human. That's human. But the wins by your emotions will be less frequent, because when you're living intentionally and you're creating a pattern, and you're going into your day with, I am going to be intentional. Well, that's what starts becoming your mindset. That's changing your mindset. When you change your mindset in little steps in life, it creates a pattern of thinking. And when that pattern of thinking is, what do I intentionally can do today? When I reflect in a journal, or I look at myself, what is it I see? Good morning, Stacy. Thank you so much. You're so kind. I hope and I think you're way out on the West Coast. You're up really early today. Thanks for coming in. So what little successes can happen in your life that create the right direction? What road are we going to be on for our success? And if you want to take care of somebody, if you think of 3 people in your life right now that you would do anything for, you should be one of them. And if there's 3 people that really matter to you, you should be one of them. You see how this works in life is when we give ourselves an extreme overload of love, kindness, and self-compassion, it really changes how we look at other people. because when we give ourselves enough of it, it overflows. It just naturally is going to come out of us. But that's where we have to watch out for the takers, right? That's where we have to watch out for people that want to trip you up, that see something in you, which is their own triggers, that sometimes they get feared and offended of. So when we're self-reflecting, we're looking at our fears. We're looking at the who, what, when, where, and whys do we have that. Thank you for the follow, Adrian, and welcome in. I appreciate you. So showing ourselves, let's talk about a little story right now. And I want you to think about somebody you haven't seen in a while, and whether they're still on earth or not, just somebody that just really matters to you. And today's Tuesday, and you're going to find out later today that they're going to be here on Friday, and they're going to spend the day with you. And this is someone that, man, it's your favorite person to hang out with, right? And you're going to, first of all, be grateful that they're going to come and see you, and it's going to be happy. It's going to be a happy creation because you're going to now plan. You're going to know their favorite things. You're going to go get some things. You're going to get your house ready. You're going to put your best, fluffiest stuff in the guest room. You're going to put out towels. You're going to fill the refrigerator up. You're going to make some plans, right? And you're going to want that reunion to be special. Now, thinking along those lines, right with that, when's the last time you did that for yourself? What about a meeting for yourself where you're going to make things special for you? Where you're going to put your favorite little snack in the refrigerator? Where you're going to set aside time to do something to you, to visit a museum or a bookstore and take yourself out for a self day? When you're reflecting, one of the benefits is you can see where you haven't given yourself some self-care, some self-love, and being kind to yourself. Life is made up of small rewards, not long-term, I'm going to get there one day. One day this is going to happen for me. And it might quite possibly. But it's what you're doing now in little steps to get there that's going to get you there. So when we're talking about our whole class here, when we're talking about the whole 10 weeks, the whole kit and caboodle, from the beginning of waking up from autopilot to understand the difference between living by default or living by design. Good morning, Norma. We're living by design. We are creating. We don't want to be a bag of reactions in life. We don't have to worry about what other people might say. We don't have to be conscious about what people might say or judge, even down here in our whether you're on, if you're on TikTok, if you're anywhere. We take our message, we hold on to it strong, and we go forward with it. And there's going to be bumps in the road. And we don't need to react to everything in life. And yet we do. We think that we have to, especially when it's about us. But remember, when we feel that something that's said about us, I want you to really strongly know this, and it's so true, that's really about the other person, not you. So who are you really? Well, you are somebody that you identify through self-awareness. What's your purpose really? Well, your purpose is to find that out, to find out what your goal meaning is, and go through it today. So if you're a doctor, a lawyer, a farmer, a janitor worker, a teacher, a student, or anything in your life, you're more than that label, because that's something that you're doing. But who are you beyond that? Would be somebody who wants to engage in life, that wants to engage in the act of freedom by being your authentic self. You're somebody that wants to engage in what you want to do, not what you have to do. You're a free bird, you're a free spirit, put down on here to live an authentic life with purpose. And when you're intentional and you're planning and you're taking the path least traveled and you're working hard and you have a mindset, you're self-aware with clarity, mindfulness, improvement, and you're actually taking time to set aside moments of the time. We all have time. Don't let it slip through your fingers, to find your reflection on paper, just as you would in the mirror, to see yourself in all your details. When you're journaling, that's what you're getting. You're getting the details of your mind, what you think, how you are, how you react, how you can have a wind of, today I actually responded intentionally to my boss because I thought about it. And he's under more pressure than I am. Instead of he's always putting me under pressure. You see, it's our mindset of how we look at things. So you've got to reflect. When you're not reflecting, you're not sharing yourself with your own thoughts, because thoughts come all day long. And with cell phones and scrolling, it probably triples the amount of thoughts people get. So build honest self-awareness by shutting off our phone, taking the time to reflect, having little exercises in our life that take the time. And man, the benefits are unfreaking believable. This has happened in my life. And I'm not saying, hey, I won the lottery. Hey, this is great. I'm saying I wake up looking forward to what I want to do every day. So you need to explore your own identity stories and labels. And then you need to shape your story through your self-reflection. That's correct. You can shape the direction of your life 100% by reflecting, by being self-aware, by being mindful, by having a clear picture of where you want to go and what you want to do. That's what we got into on the second week. That's what we talked about. And today's a reflection. And then we discussed our core values. What matters to you the most? The objective was to help you understand your core values, where your values are. Not your beliefs, but your values of what you value in life. If you value honesty, you want to be around honest people. If you value hard work, you want to be around hardworking people. If you value a particular religion, you want to be around the people that value that religion. If you value being yourself and being accepted, then those are the people and places that you want to put yourself. So intentional living, this is all built on values that have clarity, that are clear, that we understand. That's why they're the core values are right in the middle. Value is where you have limits in your life. That's not going to interrupt or shake the ground where your values are. Whether it be at work, in a relationship, in a friendship, or in your mind, of different values, of things, lines that we don't cross in life. And we protect them, right? Moving on. That was week 3. So we had our realizing intentional living, finding out who we are, and then finding out our core values, and then purpose and vision. So a sense of life purpose. Well, that's written by us. We are not what people want us to be. We're not supposed to be the adults, people that raised us. We think that, it's science that sometimes we get unintentional purpose in our life from the people that raised us. And if you're an adult right now, the purpose is on you of what your purpose is in life. And that purpose is going to give you direction. It's going to give you direction in life. And I think everybody's purpose is to seek peace, is to seek happiness, is to seek a direction in your life that you're comfortable with. But always on the lift. Not comfort as in I'm complacent, but comfort is I'm comfortable with the direction. I'm comfortable with journaling, reflecting, and having self-awareness. And I'm real comfortable with a lot of reduction in noise and hostility toward my direction. That's a good way to look at it. So distinguish between your purpose, your goals, and your fantasies. That was on week 4 where we discussed that. And anybody that wasn't here for those, it's okay, because if you hit my link tree, you can go to every one of these. They're 1 hour a week, twice a week, 1 hour. I personally feel the Friday one's better. So after we talked about the purpose and our core values and everything, we dove into the next week, which was all about your personal mission statement. That's right. And now remember, when we're reflecting and adjusting, that's what life is. We're constantly reflecting and adjusting because we don't always want to be stuck in the same place. You can't, I journal, I reflect, I adjust, and this is my life, I'm moving on. It is daily action and the changing of our repetitive thinking, of how our mind works. That's what it's about. So when you're checking in, then you're going to want to check in. Then it's going to create bits of happiness. Little rays of sunshine are going to fall down on your head because you're going to enjoy it, especially when you notice the difference in your reaction, your delayed reaction to things. Having delayed reaction means you're thinking. It means you're thinking of how am I going to make this work? What am I going to do? I'm going to take the time to give an answer. If you get a text about something, you can answer that text anytime you want. So you want to write a simple, usable mission statement. And when you do that, you're anchoring particular choices, right? Through your core values, through how you want to live, through your boundaries. You're going to anchor some values in your life when you're writing a mission statement, because your mission statement is written on values. It's written on direction that you want your life to go from all the information you have up to this moment. And if you're not out looking for information about living intentionally, and you're not out looking for information to build your core values, if you're not out looking for information to have clarity, then information's happening to you. You're scrolling and believing and this and that. But this has to be your journey. You're the author of your book. Life's your movie. You direct it, you produce it, and at any time you can say, cut, I need to retake this moment. I need to, the next time this happens, it's going to play out my way. This can't happen anymore. I can't tolerate this. I can't tolerate A, B, or C. My alternatives are D, E, F, right? Have the alternative. Where's a time in your life where something didn't go your way? Think about that. When was a time in your life when something didn't go in your way? And when was a time in your life where it did go your way? What was the mindset difference? Why didn't it go your way? Did you give in just to be squashed because you crushed your own values because somebody didn't agree with it? So make a clear statement that you can live by, and your objectives are going to be anchored into the ground, and it's all going to be about your usable mission statement in life. That was partway through this course. That's when we were into our fifth week. Right? Week 6, we were talking about the intentional goals from purpose to practice. And we talked about setting aligned, meaningful goals, not random resolutions. There's a difference between a random resolution than a goal. And a goal is something that, it's right behind me, where we reflect, we have self-awareness, clarity, and mindfulness. And then a goal, we're going to break down into small tasks. That's what we're going to do. We're going to break that goal down into small tasks to follow it, to have it in our life. And you want your goals to flow from purpose, and you want your goals to flow from values. Because if we have to value something and feel that it has purpose in our life in order to make a goal of when I reach this goal, what's it going to be like? What's it going to feel like? How am I going to get it there? And how do I do it? Right? If your goal is let's just make it fun. If your goal is to eat a 90-inch round pizza, you can do it. A slice a day, wherever, how many deal. We don't want to overwhelm us. And it's not about the quantity. It's actually all about the little steps. It's all about consistency. Getting your goals and following goals takes self-reflection, clarity, and consistency. Consistency, not quantity. It's all about consistency. And realizing that those goals, you would want them to come from purpose in your life, aligned with things that you would like to do. If you want to be a good piano player, you can practice once a week or hit it here and there. But if you went to it hours a day in 1 year, you would be really good, right? So one of my favorite weeks that we had was week 7, where we had time, energy, and attention, and taking control of your day, where your life is built out of your days, right? So our life is built out of our days and moments. It's not about thinking about tomorrow or talking about last week or this happened to me or I'm not happy about a situation. When you're living by the day, it allows you to stay mindful. And mindfulness stems out of clarity, and it stems out of self-awareness. And these keep you from hanging out with time wasters, distractions, digital things. Time and energy. Where do you want it? Do you want to put your energy to meaningless, random little things in life, things that don't matter, things that keep you or other people, depending on your behavior, from staying on track? Show me your calendar and I'll show you your life. So, how's your day? How's your life planned out? What's it like? So, understanding the enhancement of the intentional living and reflecting, understanding that, understanding about the desire, where it's coming from inside, the little nudge you feel. I wish I did something different. So when you're bored, when you have moments of boredom, I should go outside today. I should maybe go take a walk. That's your real self. Listen to some of your nudges in life. Listen to some of the times where you're being pushed, because that is the universe. That's your authentic self talking to you. Your gut feeling and what your mind's telling you to stay centered with yourself. There's a lot of cues going on in our lives. So take action. Take action. Teach yourself to structure your time intentionally. Be intentional about how you're going to spend your day or this weekend. And if you feel you have people that are robbing you of time, make yourself busy. You don't need any excuses. You can say no, or you can limit the time. Hey, I need your help this weekend. I'm really busy this weekend. I can give you 10 minutes. If it's somebody you really like, just give them 10 minutes. I can give you 30 minutes. And we've all heard people say that. And those people have learned to live intentionally. They've learned to protect their time. They've learned to protect their energy, as you should too. Energy management, remember, that is not time. Energy management is your sleep, it's your health, it's your food, it's your movement. Most importantly, it's your mental space. So when we're talking about our energy, we're talking about a lot of things go into energy. A lot of things go into energy. Our movement, our food, our time, where we spend things, what we eat, everything. It's all about energy and focus, because what we're spending time on is what we're focusing on. And what we're focusing on is what's taking our energy. So you don't want to focus on unintentional things that are happening to you, just these reactions you have because this happened. Spending your day all flustered and upset because somebody said something or did something that's taking away your focus and your time. And there's people out there that like that kind of cockadoodle bullshit. It happens to people on TikTok. It happens at your job. It happens at the mall. It happens in line. It happens in traffic, where people are upset. They're going to flip you the finger, say something bad. They're going to do something bad. And then you mentally are tripped up over it all day. You got to realize there's jackasses out there. And some of these jackasses, their days are built by rippling smooth ponds. And when they throw a little and they get their ripple effect, it interrupts the reflection. Don't let people interrupt your reflection. That's on them, not on you. And those are time wasters. And then they come in the forms of digital form and every kind of form. So basically, make it a habit. As a matter of fact, we talked on week 8, systems and routines. So system and routines would be habits. So a habit to realize that there's going to be people to trip you up, that you don't have to focus on what other people's comments are. You don't have to focus on what other people think that's outside of kindness. Sometimes we can get 15 compliments and focus on the one insult in life. That's just how we're wired. We're always scanning for danger. We're always scanning for the worst. We're always looking for that. Bring yourself into the present moment and just take a deep breath and just tell yourself, I'm glad I'm me. I'm glad I'm me. I'm glad I have this information. And you're going to be okay. You're going to live a good life. And you don't have to like what everybody else is like. You don't have to drive what everybody drives. You're you. There's nothing wrong with being you. But sometimes there's something wrong with how we treat ourselves, how we bully ourselves, how we feel inadequacy, and how we feel that we may not fit in. It doesn't matter. You know, there's one glove in your life and it's yours, and you can determine how it fits you, right? So translate your goals into daily, weekly habits. Translate your life into an intentional system that this is what I have to do. This summer, I want my lawn to look good. And guess what? It's going to take time, several times a week. My son's involved because I like the way he helps me to do that. I got a neighborhood kid who needs a couple bucks. I have certain things that he can do. I'm not going to let him do everything, but I'm going to allow them to give me energy. And when you have little moments of success in your life and you feel good, that gives energy to continue. So when you're doing self-awareness and clarity, being mindful and doing your improvement, setting that time and journaling thoughts and action, it makes you feel good. And therefore you're going to do it more. You're going to do it more. And it's going to help you build structures in your life that support an ongoing effort to be better. Can you believe that? And that's what becomes automatic and intentional. You can intentionally rewire your entire brain in about a year if you were to really dive into this last 12 weeks, like just did it every 12 weeks continually. Man, you'd become a rock star, intentional, well-living person, not for other people to see, but for you to feel. And that's where what makes life good when it's intentional, because it's the way you feel. Observing everybody. You'll observe things that used to bother you. You will hear people put comments about you that used to bother you. And now you'll just notice it's no different than looking at flowers. Some are live and vibrant, and some are dead and crumbly. But we still pay attention, but we don't look at that one that's dead and crumbly, do we? We go find what's vibrant to look at, where we're going to put our time. And our thoughts, they're like traffic. You can't concentrate on one car. It's all there. So our life just consists of all these good and bad things, and it's what you're focusing on that is your life. So if you're focusing on the negativity, you're going to have negativity. If you're focusing on the mediocre, you're going to have mediocre. If you're focusing on what other people think, then you're totally fucking ignoring your own mind. Your life can have meaning in it day to day once you, yes, that's right, Alicia, I'm glad you're in there. Focus on what you want to feed. Look at that right there. Let's put that up there for people to read. And this is from a fellow journaler who knows how to build structures in her life and always comes in here and has good things to say. And I hope that coming in here helps you, that it helps you a lot. So self-awareness is the reflection that helps you understand your thoughts. Understanding your thoughts and the way you want to live and what you're going to feed into your mind without losing energy to other people. So we had our habit systems and routine, making it the intentions automatic, building structures that support what you want to be. What structure could you build starting right now, not waiting for next week? Life is now. So we can't say, my life would just be so much better if I didn't have this in it, right? Because you're allow it to be there. So week 9, man, this is big. Week 9 was big. We had fun with this, and we had a lot of people in here talking about boundaries, people, and events. And you can see there where Alicia says it helps big time. It does. It helps to reflect and journal your thoughts. It puts the reflection and the imagery of your mind on paper. And it helps you move forward and realize what you need in life. If you're somebody that's going into a job that you don't like today, if you're somebody that's in a relationship that you don't like, or you're dealing with situations that you don't like, you need to reflect in self-awareness. You're not here to be unhappy. You're here and you need to focus on what's good, because you're not trapped at that job. You're not trapped in that relationship, and you're not trapped in that situation. We're unintentionally in there. And sometimes we take beatings because we're our own worst enemy. You can find time to rewrite your book and your script and to be open and honest about your life. and there's people out there that you can share with. But on week 9, we talked about boundaries, and boundaries, you know, are put on people and they're put on environments. Can you believe that? People and environments. If there's one thing that's going to trip you up on your journey, it's people and environments. We refer to them in a lot of metaphors as bumps, speed bumps, thunderstorms, bumpy roads, potholes, cockadoodle bullshit makers. And that's what we call people and environments. But we want to protect our purpose from distractions and pressure from people and environments, right? Good morning, Caden. We want to practice how to avoid these speed bumps, these people, these tripper-uppers. And believe me, they're way worse off than you are, but we don't care about that. We can't allow them to affect us. Alicia, you have a good day. See you on Friday. Thanks for coming in here. Have a blessed day. Thank you so much. So through self-awareness, it helps us understand our thoughts and our feelings, and we can't give energy to people and environments, and that's where our boundaries come in. Remember, we talked about boundaries being kind. If you want to be in my life, these are my boundaries. These are my limits. Protecting your purpose from distractions and pressures. And let me tell you, people and environments really love to fuck this up, which is living by design. People and environments love to mess up your intentions, love to mess up you doing something deliberately, calculated, conscious, on purpose, intended. Think of those words as the opposite way, because there's people out there that this are their intentions toward you: intentional, deliberate, calculated, conscious, on purpose, intended. There's people out there like that. But we only want to use those words in our mind about our life and about our actions. We want to be conscious, on purpose, and intended, and unconscious, on purpose, and intended to watch out for these people, right? Because they want you to stay this way. They want you to be unintended, no time for yourself, unconscious, unthinking, unplanned, unexpected, unforeseen, for whatever their fucking agenda is. Your agenda is your agenda. And your agenda has to be protected with boundaries. And these boundaries you're going to put in place to block distractions, to block environments, and to block people that are bad. If there's an environment, a seedy place, a bad neighborhood, a bar, you know who intentionally goes there? You don't want to. And if you live in one, you probably want to get out of it. Or you set up boundaries where you're just not part of the negativity of it, right? So that's our boundaries, our people and environments, and the boundaries that we watch out for. What's going to mess up our intentional living. Got to watch out for that. We got to watch out for these people. They're out there. You're not one of them, and don't be one of them. So week 9, we're going to talk about boundaries, people, and environments. And then 10, mindset and fear resistance. Remember that? And I still left the board up about this. Dealing with the inner battles that stop intentional living. You know, that little voice inside your head, you can't do this. You don't know what you're doing. Your self-doubt. If you were able to pull that little motherfucker that's in your head that says that and put him on a witness stand, he has zero facts about you. Your self-doubt has no facts about you. It has no facts about this and that. It's just always been there. But yet we listen to him. We listen to him like he's a doctor of psychology, that he knows everything, that he is always putting that fear in us. Oh, better not do that. You're going to be laughed at. Better not do that. That's not you. Well, what are people going to say if you do this? This is that little voice. That's the guy we want to squash. We want to punch him in the face. He's in your mind. You got to get rid of him. So when you're reflecting and self-awareness and that little dude comes up, you got to shut it off. You got to challenge those negative thoughts. Remember last week we were talking about this. This is big. That self-doubt in your head. You can be anything you want. You don't need to worry about what anybody says. And take constructive criticism. You know, I'm in construction. I've had people tell me that looks horrible. I got to fix it, right? I'm not going to go find out, hey, ask one of my guys who put that board up there. No, we're going to fix it. Because when you're part of a team, you are a team. And in your head, your self-consciousness, your abilities, your feel good, your self-esteem, it's a team as well. And you have to work with outside your environment, people, places, and things. And you're going to have boundaries to keep yourself in check, to be mindful, to invest in yourself through self-awareness. And then when you figure it out, have clarity, and you're always going to adjust that, right? So let's talk about when we were talking about last week, and it's right here. This is a couple little things that we were talking about. In life, we want to identify our triggers, and through self-reflection, like we're talking about, understanding what circumstances in our life are bringing our triggers, what they're about. Journaling and writing about your feelings, analyzing your fear of failure, acknowledge your common, explore beliefs and challenge negative thoughts. Break down tasks. If it's something that you're fearing is a task, just break it down. Break it down into small steps and create a checklist and give yourself time to do it. Work on it and practice self-compassion and be kind to yourself. Embrace your mistakes. Failure is not a setback. Failure is a necessity to be in life. You got to fail. You've got to fail. Failure has to happen. Last week, I used a little story of when you first rode your bike without falling, after you fell, after you got a boo-boo, after you scraped your teeth. Some of us broke teeth, broke arms, and this and that, but we still got on our bikes as a source of freedom, right? And it took effort and practice to learn how to ride it, and a lot of mistakes, but yet we still got on it because it gave us a sense of freedom. So when you're working on your fears, they may still be there, but when you're intentionally working on them and you're practicing to get rid of them, they're going to go away, and it's going to set you free from that particular fear, from the fear of maybe wearing an outfit, from a fear of going somewhere, for a fear of applying for a different job, or a fear of moving to a different area or a different town. And you can transfer you can transform your life in 5 months with steps, with small steps. Write it down right here. Reflect, self-awareness, clarity, make a plan, put that plan into action. That can happen. And it's daily practice. And it's not intensity, it is consistency that takes changing your life. To be consistent at it, to want it, to feel it, and to put it in importance without the influence and distraction of people, places, and things. So today, think how you can live intentionally. Give intentional answers that benefit you. You don't need to explain yourself to anybody. And you want to journal and self-reflect. And until Friday, I want you to have a really good day and a really good week and take it easy. And I'm glad that you're here. You matter a lot. And I hope that you have a really nice day today. I'm glad that everybody was here. I'm so glad that you were here, Farm Girl, Brian, and everybody else here, whether I said your name or not. I appreciate you. I hope you all have a good day. And I'll be back Friday morning at 7. Thanks again.